Oh, yes.
Welcome back, everyone. Today we're taking a look at MOTU Origins Scareglow. This is a character that's seen some public attention, some hype lately because he just appeared in the recent Master of the Universe Revelation show. And it's the first time he actually appeared on television. He never showed up in like the original cartoon or anything. And he's one of the more obscure characters, having released at like the very tail end of the original toy line, so he was pretty hard to come by. I managed to snag one of these off of Big Bad Toy Store for pretty close to retail price, which is surprising because all the rest of Wave 2 is like stupid expensive on the secondary market right now. So I'm happy I got this guy because I think he's really cool. I like his design. And he is basically just a glow-in-the-dark copy of Skeletor. In fact, when you look at his little tagline here, Evil Ghost of Skeletor, that caused a lot of confusion back in the 80s because people were like, wait, so like he's Skeletor's ghost? Like he's a version of Skeletor? And it was years before we got any clarification on that, but apparently he's just some sort of ghost or ghoul or demon that was like summoned by Skeletor and kind of on again, off again works for him. But you can see like at the timeline of Revelation, he's doing his own thing and he lives down there in Eternia's Land of the Dead or its underworld. So, if you've seen my reviews before, you know this goes. We're going to take a look at Scareglow's packaging, then we'll open him up. We'll take a quick look at his comic, which I think is the first Wave 2 comic I've come across. So that's neat. You can actually read it. And then we'll see Scareglow himself, check out his posability. I'll do some group shots, comparisons with like Skeletor. And then at the end of the video, I'll give my final thoughts. So Scareglow comes in your standard MOTU Origins basic figure packaging here on a blister card. Got the name, the call out, all that fun stuff. Shows that he glows in the dark, and that was his whole gimmick, right? Glowing in the dark, that's why he's called Scareglow. And here you can see he's, from like the neck down, just a recolored Skeletor, like through and through. He's got the same spiky forearms, the same clawed boots and all that. He lacks Skeletor's chest harness accessory and instead gets this nice little fabric cape, which is always very cool. Like when they actually do real fabric, like capes and like dresses and all that for the characters. And then he does get a new head, which is similar to Skeletor's, being a skull, but without a hood, right? Just a bare skull. It's got a little crack in it. And he also comes with like a pole arm or pole axe type weapon in the back, which you can see. You can also see the comic there. Then we turn this around, and you get the artwork for him, which, again, I said this before, but I love the fact that like each one of these figures has like its own dedicated artwork. And it's not just like some singular stock image, but it's like whole battle scenes and stuff. Really, really cool. So here you can see him accosting Prince Adam and Clamp Champ, and his flavor text calls him a walking horror from a different dimension. Scareglow radiates fear and terrifies his victims, which, you know, seems pretty accurate to his characterization in the new Revelation show. Here they show that he can glow in the dark. You hold him up to a bright light and then put him in a dark room. I'll see if I can capture that for you guys. I don't know if it's going to work because I imagine my camera's going to have a hard time picking up an image in a dark room. We'll see how it goes. And then, of course, we get our Wave 2 callouts, or cross-sells, which is the first time I've seen this. He's my first Wave 2 figure. So you got Manny Faces, who's probably one of the most ridiculous He-Man characters. Orko, which, you know, is quite exceptional for being a very small little toy. But, you know, he comes with a stand and stuff to help kind of flesh out the price point. Trapjaw, and then Scareglow himself. Also, you know, He-Man and Skeletor from the first wave. So very cool stuff. I love the colors on this. Very saturated, very nice looking. All right, so that is his packaging. So let's go ahead and open this guy up. Okay, so here we get the mini comic that comes with Scareglow. This is our Wave 2 comic, Double Trouble. Features all the characters from the second wave. And I'm not going to read through the whole thing slowly, but I'll just kind of flip through it for you. But basic idea is that Skeletor shapeshifts into Orko, tries to attack He-Man, Trapjaw and Scareglow capture Orko, you know, kind of hold him in place. Orko escapes, saves He-Man from Skeletor, Skeletor retreats, and there it is. Here's our cross-sells yet again. Okay, now we get to see Scareglow himself, and he's wielding his apparently called Scythe of Doom. Now, I don't know if I would call that a scythe, personally. Looks more like a pole arm of some type, but I guess it's a scythe. Which obviously does work with this whole Grim Reaper motif. Now, one correction I want to make. I thought, and it's very convincing, that the cape was an actual fabric cape. It's not. It's actually some kind of soft plastic or rubber. But boy, the texturing they put on this thing, I really thought it was an actual fabric cape. But no, it's just a solid piece. It's flexible, so it moves around a little bit. And it can be removed, though you do have to pop his head off to take it off. So whether or not it's worth it is up to you. Overall, I think he looks really cool. As I said in the beginning, he is just a head swap of Skeletor with, you know, the new weapon and new cape thrown on, which really adds to the mystery and the confusion, you know, surrounding this guy, because a lot of people, you know, do believe he is some sort of like an undead version of Skeletor or his actual ghost. But apparently he's just kind of a phantasm that Skeletor conjured up, so it would make sense that he would conjure something in his own image, since he is a rather vain individual. Now, as far as, you know, the posability, he's got everything you'd expect from an Origins toy. All the same little joints and bends. Everything feels good on him. Nothing's too loose or too tight. Got great tolerances, so that's good. And the head, the plastic it's made of feels a little soft, which I'm guessing is because it's the glow-in-the-dark plastic. Though the body doesn't feel quite as soft, so I'm not really sure. It's not squishy, but it doesn't feel quite as hard as most of the plastic used on these things. So I'm not really sure what's going on with it, but he does look just awesome. Whoops. Looks even better when he's standing up. Yeah, I mean, I really like the look of this guy. And of course, he wouldn't be Scareglow without his signature glow-in-the-dark feature. So I'm going to go ahead, dim the lights, and let's see how good this looks on camera. And there we go. It's not completely dark in here, but it's dark enough to where you can see that glow shining through very, very well. Boy, this really takes me back to my days as a young kid playing with like late 80s, early 90s toys. Glow-in-the-dark was still a really big thing back then. And I gotta say, it works really well. I don't know how this compares to the original toy as far as how well his, you know, glow-in-the-dark feature worked. It was brighter, dimmer. But, I mean, it's not even completely dark in here. Honestly, I can't make it completely dark because I'm filming during the day, so, you know, there's some light getting through. But it still shows up really well. You can see it's starting to fade now a little bit, but especially after being under the bright lights of my studio lights here, I will say the feature works just fantastically. Now we get a group shot of Scareglow along with his creator Skeletor, and I mean, you can see the resemblance. They both have the exact same body type, and they both have a skull for a face. Now, obviously, it's not the same piece. Skeletor does have a hood on, but it wouldn't be too hard to imagine him just taking that off and, you know, having his outward appearance change to something that resembles this. So I think, you know, it does a really good job of being mostly the same toy while still being unique. If he just had the blue skin like Skeletor, I would say he's a little too samey and a little too on the nose, but because his colors are all different, I think he works out really well. But you can see the molding similarities, right? He has those signature like forearm ridges here that Skeletor has. He's got the clawed hands as opposed to the more humanoid ones. And then he has the like 3-clawed leathery looking boots that is, you know, it started with Skeletor, but is generally used for more evil characters. And I really like this group shot. It gives me a real Phantom Ganon vibe. If any of you guys are Legend of Zelda fans, like the Ocarina of Time Phantom Ganon, who was made in Ganondorf's image and is just kind of a twisted parody of him. I think, you know, Scareglow works very well in that regard. And with his recent depiction in the Revelation cartoon, you know, where they really get to flesh him out, I really like him. He's, you know, kind of this disaffected abomination, right? He was created by Skeletor, but he just, you know, kind of does his own thing. He exists purely to just kind of fill that empty void inside of him with people's fear. So he's more of just a ravenous specter than he is a proper henchman, which I think makes him more interesting, right? He is Skeletor's minion, but he also exists to fulfill his own purpose, which is to feed on fear. So I really like him. I think he's an interesting character. I know he is going to be popping up in the second season based on the trailer, so look forward to seeing more of him there. And I'm also looking forward to getting the Revelation Scareglow to compare to this guy, and also to group with the Revelation Skeletor and do that group shot, because I just think Scareglow's design is a lot of fun. I mean, he is, you know, a very on-the-nose, very Halloween-esque type character, but I mean, that's the beauty of MOTU, right? There's just the sheer diversity of designs within that franchise. There's all sorts of stuff. You have like your techno warriors, you got your high fantasy guys, you got your spooky Halloween guys here. I mean, they just kind of cover everything. And I think Scareglow is a really good example of that. And this completes our look at MOTU Origins Scareglow. As I said before, I really like this guy's design. I think it came out very, very well. The whole spooky skeleton vibe, the glow-in-the-dark feature, and this cape. I mean, this thing is so realistic looking, I actually mistook it for fabric in the packaging. So kudos to the designers for this really great texturing. They really nailed the look of a fabric cape, but, you know, used a material that's a little bit longer lasting than a cheap piece of fabric. So I very much approve there. I think it's great. Honestly, I think Scareglow is one of my favorite Origins figures, and like not just out of what I reviewed so far, but everything out currently and everything, you know, coming that we know of. He's just that cool to me. Interestingly, despite the fact that the Origins Scareglow toy was, you know, pretty rare and goes for pretty high prices on the secondary market, the Origins figure is kind of the opposite. He's one of the few figures that I've been able to buy after the fact, like at MSRP. And I got him for really cheap on Big Bad Toy Store. In fact, I think they still have him. They did last I checked. So you should be able to pick him up for, you know, somewhere between like, I don't know, 17 and 20 bucks. Pretty good. I've also seen it on Amazon for like low 20s. So if you can't get BBTS, Amazon might be a good alternative. So if you do want to get this guy, I mean, you can do it for pretty cheap and find him relatively easily compared to some of the other figures I've had to track down. So he's out there if you want him. So do I think you should get this guy? Yeah, I do personally. I think he's a lot of fun. I like everything about his design and all that. And he's one of the cheaper Origins figures to get, so why not get a creepy baddie to flesh out your evil warriors? Of course, that is just my opinion. Now I want to know what you all think in the comments section. Do you like Scareglow's design? Do you think it's really cool? Do you like the glow-in-the-dark feature or not? Is he too campy? Is he too samey to Skeletor? Or just something else about him bothers you? Any and all feedback is always welcome in that comment section. If you enjoyed this review, make sure to toss it a like. Let YouTube know you want to see more stuff like this. If you do want to see more like this, make sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell so you always get a heads up when I post something new. I thank you for joining me for this look at MOTU Origins Wave 2 figure, Scareglow. And with all that, I will see you next time.